Going on, everybody? Welcome. Another episode of Propping Up on the Gold Boys Network. Brought to you by Pickett. I'm GriffyBets, joined here by Walla. As always, we got a couple of exciting games today. I've already locked in a decent chunk of plays and got a whole lot more written down. So excited to dive into it. How you doing, Walla? How's your week been so far?
Good. Yeah, pretty much same as what we talked about last time. This weather's just got me in a really great mood, and those two guys, Jesper Fast and Martinick, my goodness,
Yeah, that was great.
nice call there on those guys. I parlayed them together. It was an awesome price, plus 400, so that just made my night right there. Awesome. They just dominated.
Yeah, we'll probably get the price. These props have been coming out early and earlier. We'll probably see what they're priced at later this evening, late afternoon. Definitely would like to jump back on those two guys.
Yeah.
Martinook, I might have to look. I know MGM has some nice prices for 2+ points. Martinook has 2+ in all four of these games so far. I mean, if he's plus 170 for one last game, I'm curious what he would be for two. Might be worth a little sprinkle on that tomorrow because
Yeah.
I think Carolina's going to end it. I mean, I don't know. I think it's over.
Yeah, that was a tough one. It felt like it was just going to be one of those, they took two and then the Devils take two and kind of, but no, that was just they let the one game, get away from them. Carolina did, and then they just came back out and they're like, all right, never mind. No, this is what we're really about. And it's just, yeah, like you said, it wasn't like, it's not like Aho was out there scoring 50 goals. It's not like, um, they don't have Svechnikov, they don't have, Teravainen, so those are the guys. They're stepping up big time. So if you can capitalize on those prices, you wouldn't be
Yeah,
getting prices like that for some of those other guys.
the overs in those two other series, Dallas, Seattle, New Jersey, Carolina, they just keep hitting, and especially New Jersey, Carolina. I think odds makers just thought that was going to be a lot tighter than it ended up being. I thought it was going to be a little tight too, so that would explain these prices. But as long as they're giving some of these guys a plus money, I mean, that second line in particular, they've been getting goals every game. No reason not to go back to them
Yeah,
in a
and
closeout game at home.
and we just like we're saying, when you can find that kind of plus money and just you got both of them to hit, but you don't need everything to hit with those kind of prices. And yeah, that's what you want to take advantage of when you see some of these other guys where starting to get out of that range where you can make good profit off of them. They're starting to get into those prices where you either need to parlay or if you're laying the juice, that becomes risky there at that point. So yeah, these are the guys. These are the ones you want to find.
For sure. So on to tonight. We've got Toronto, Florida, and Vegas, Edmonton. Toronto on the cusp of being swept. They're still in Florida. And I mean, this is a tough one for me to read because you look at this and you see a team down 0-3 that surely is going to throw everything at the wall now. But
Perfect
that
time
should
to
have
buy.
that should have applied last game or earlier than that. I mean, you come to Florida after dropping both those home games. I would have expected a much better effort out of Matthews. I mean, he didn't hit his shots or score. The top three, really, Nylander, Matthews, Tavares, they've all been. I mean, Nylander, Tavares in particular, been much quieter on the road. Toronto as a whole hasn't been able to get as many shots on the road. I have a hard time thinking that tonight's the night they figure it out just because they're down 3-0. I mean, that should have come out last game. I do think I'll probably run it like an underdog play of Bobrovsky saves and Nylander, Matthews, Tavares, and Marner shots simply because I would feel really dumb if it hits and I don't play it, but I have no confidence it hits. That's basically how I'm viewing it. They haven't shown me anything to think, okay, time to start fighting in this series. That's my read of it. I have a really that big three, those Tavares, Nylander, and Matthews, all their expected goals are north of 2 in this series, and none of them have a single goal. So maybe at some point it breaks through. Bobrovsky, I mean, he's been just playing lights out. Um, is that going to change tonight? I don't know. The numbers suggest they should have a little more goals than they do. Maybe Bobrovsky's just a man possessed right now, and we should just, I don't know, back him to win the Conn Smythe. I don't know.
I I before the series, I said maybe getting past that first round would take some pressure off and they'd be able to get something going, but I don't know. I mean, they look worse. I guess they used up all their energy to finally make it past round one, and that's all they had because they don't look like they have much going on. I think I saw, yeah, just oh, now's the time to bring out the best and play the best. Like, I don't know, why didn't you do that all the other games and you won't be in this freaking situation? But yeah, I don't know. I don't really feel super confident backing their shots, like you said. You want to think that there's the narrative that they're gonna just be going all out. So you would like to look at their shots, but man, it's tough. I feel like you're just you might as well just put the names in a hat and kind of just like pick one of those main guys out. It kind of feels like, if it's Nylander or Tavares or Matthews, I don't know. I don't have confidence in them.
No, not really. I mean, part of me wants to back Bobrovsky saves, but I mean, you even look at him at home this postseason. His last 3 games, 25, 29, and 22 saves. His line's 29 and a half. And Toronto, again, they haven't found as much offense on the road, shots wise, this postseason. I think we mentioned it, or maybe we weren't able to mention it. I mentioned it somewhere, probably in Goat Boys. I was a little more nervous about them going to Florida, keeping up that same volume because they were ripping in games 1 and 2. They obviously lost those games, but at least those big guys were hitting their shots on goal. I was a little nervous switching locations, and yeah, nothing's really changed there. I don't know. Maybe they're just so desperate and they just launch the lowest quality shots ever and just over and over again and hope something happens. That
That's a
could
good
happen.
that's a good connection to in chat right here. Adam was saying, Morgan Riley shots and points and everything because the desperation could be more defenseman stuff, and you're talking about low quality shots. Like, well,
Hmm.
a lot of those shots are just getting the puck, towards the net, so that stuff goes on. So yeah, I think that's a good connection there. Riley, I think I saw you were liking him anyway for his shots, but I like that angle better than those other guys for sure.
Um, well, yeah, I mean, Morgan Ryan O'Reilly actually I liked for shots. We could talk about it in a second, but
Oh, okay, okay.
to stick with Morgan, definitely went right back to his assist.
Mhm.
Um, he's got an assist in every game this series, 4 straight, and I think it's what is it, 21 points in his last uh or 21 assists in like his 12 to 14 of his last games against Florida, blanking on that. Basically, almost every game for the last 3 years, he's gotten an assist against Florida, and a lot of times multiple. Went right back to him. If it ain't broke, kind of approach there. I've been betting that since game 1. Um, but yeah, maybe he does. His attempts haven't been crazy this series, but I
He's good
can.
at getting around 2 shots. It could be, yeah, could be a little sweaty, but he's pretty decent around there. But yeah, I like his assists. Yeah, I've been playing point. I know you've been on assist. I've been playing point because it was still pretty reasonably priced in some of these other games, especially some of the boosts they were giving out. But he's been getting assists, and that's what he tends to get against Florida. If you look back at their history, like you said, lots of assists, not as much scoring. Uh, the reason why I was playing point was just because since last season, I think in 16 postseason games, he has a point in 13 of them, and he was getting some goals, here and there for them. So I was liking the point, but it's getting a little juice now. But yeah, every against Florida, it's just assists. He crushes it, and I'm fine with going back to that. if you want to get a better price than his point play, it's the assists that have been cashing.
Yeah, it's encouraging that even though Toronto hasn't been able to find much success here, Riley continues to be involved. So
Yep.
it feels I like to deep down think Toronto figures something out, mostly just because I want them to get back home so I can hammer all their shots props in game 5 a little more confidently.
Hmm.
But even if they don't, and if they keep scrounging together just 2 goals, Riley just keeps getting involved. So definitely going right back to him. If you've been betting him every game, I think
Who did
just
he assist
keep.
on last game? It's like some wasn't any of the names that I think you expected. I already
I can check in a moment.
it's just such. I just remember being like, oh, yep, yep, he still came through. Good old Riley. He's just an
Um,
animal.
while I check that, I worth noting. I don't know if it's been finalized, but doing a little line shifting. Looks like Jean Croc's back up on the top line. He doesn't have a point line yet, but if you wanted, I'm sure that'll come out at some point. If you wanted to take a stab,
I
last time we
see.
tried that together, he let
I
us
see
down.
plus 126.
Oh, great. Um, Riley assisted Lafferty last
Nice.
game. He assisted Kerfoot the game before, and Nice in the first game. Quite an eclectic group there.
Yeah, so he's getting
Nice.
involved all over the place. And then there's always the chance if the other guys decide that they want to contribute on the power play, he can get involved there.
Yeah, I mean, I would like Tavares, Matthews, Nylander. They do get a decent chunk of their shots in the power play, and they didn't get a single opportunity last game. And based on Florida's postseason, I would say that's going to correct itself a little bit tonight. They probably get 3 chances, 3 to 4. Maybe that opens things up for them. But again, I don't know. I hope Toronto extends this series, but I have a really hard time putting any faith in them to do anything.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Just trusting the defenseman for the most part. Uh, has been pretty solid. So I'm gonna stick with Riley. And then yeah, if you want to talk about O'Reilly,
Yeah, he's probably one of my favorite shot targets today. I paired him with Marches, so but you're probably familiar with what he's been doing this series and just to Edmonton the last couple of years by now. I paired them together. I think it was plus 174 on DraftKings. Here's what I'm seeing. Um, so he had 3 shots on goal in the first 2 games. His line's 1.5. And he had 0 last game, but he had 6 attempts, which was his most in the last 7 games. So the volume was there. So even though he didn't hit the net, I'm encouraged by that. He's got, I think you had mentioned it at some point, but he has 3+ shots in 6 of his last 8 against Florida. He's got 2+ and it's 14 or 15 of his last 21 in the playoffs. And I'm kind of just hoping guy with some seasoned playoff experience calls on that here, facing a sweep. So just someone I'm a little more confident going to tonight. And his history against Florida is pretty nice. And I'm just asking for 2, but guys hitting 3 pretty consistently here. Uh, if you want to take a stab at moving him up a number.
I'm laughing over here because no, I love the angle and I love that it was 0 for 6 last game. I think
Yeah,
that
no,
makes me like it so much more because I brought up that he had missed 1 attempt in his last 7 games against Florida before that game. So it just all kind of culminated into a 0 for 6 game where it all kind of caught up, I think.
it
And
is funny.
if you look back at his last 2 seasons and you go to 5 attempts, that was the first miss. That was the
Well,
first time he went under, his shots line when he has 5 or more attempts. So, yeah, if he gets even 4 or 5 attempts in this one, I think he gets 2 on net, after a 0 for 6 game. It's just how, stats are just funny. You find
yeah.
there you could just sometimes they just kind of point you in that direction. Like it seemed too good to be true. The 0 for 6 game comes. It's like, all right, well, he got that out of his system, let it bounce back out to his normal, his normal
Hmm.
shots right there. I love it.
Yeah, that's the hope. On the Florida side, I certainly think. I mean, I do. I think they're just going to win tonight. Uh, why the hell would they want to go fly back to Toronto and play another game? They can rest up here. I think they're going to just keep it rolling. I am definitely. I've just sort of been liking points props and just the scoring props in general more than shots on goal lately, which I know sounds silly. I mean, I did have some nice success with some underdog shot plays last week, but just consistency wise, I find the point props, the value's been nice. They've been hitting at a pretty frequent rate, so that's where my focus has been going, especially on Florida. Anthony Duclair point. I went right back to him for tonight. He now has a point in all 3 games this series in 5 of his last 6. He's on that top line, and his point, the best price was plus 119 on Caesars. So that immediately, I just went right back to that. I don't see why I wouldn't. Maybe it doesn't deliver, but at that price, and I mean, he scored last game. His attempts are up too last couple games. If you want to try for the goal, um, but his point there for a top line guy that's rolling was a no hesitation one for me.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it goes hand in hand with I was liking Verhaeghe's point, which not as good of a price, but season long his hit rate was higher, so he's got the more juice on it. But I think that it's correlated there. They're
Definitely.
getting involved together. So I think if you're a more risky person and you have the opportunity to do it, you could even try pairing, those couple guys together and go for a big payout. I like them both. Think they could both get involved together. I think that's where he got the assist. I think last game for Hagee or yeah, somewhere in there.
Um, well, he scored himself.
Right, yeah, that was it. Verhaeghe scored. Yep. And
Um,
Duclair scored, like, right away, right?
yeah, Duclair. Well, no, he scored in the second period,
Ah, man, I'm getting all
but early.
confused.
Yeah, you don't know anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Did that game was slow, though.
It was a little slow. Yeah, it definitely the intensity picked up at the end.
Yeah, that's where it was for
Um,
Verhaeghe, yep. I like them together, though. I think, I think that's kinda what I was saying in the beginning, just finding a couple guys who have been solid and trying to pair them together and get that big payout. Um,
I
I like
like it.
do there.
If I could do that on Bet 365, be I'd probably be firing those off for every top line for every team every single night. Maybe they'll
It's just
come
so
to
much
my state
correlation
next
and,
year.
uh, I think the payout gets even better. I mean, obviously, if you pick a guy from each team, because then, that's 2 it has to be 2 separate goals, but even last game, it was, like, plus 2 or a couple games ago, plus 250 for, like, Verhaeghe and Riley. So, yeah, I think, for some of you people who like to take a bit more risk, the points are really where you can get some of these good hits, like you've been saying. A lot of value on them.
Maybe some book will open a market next year where you can sort of bet on just an entire line, like a trio to get a goal or something, or even put it at a 1.5 total goals at plus money. That would be a fun market to cap.
Yeah.
Maybe someone is listening, looking for inspiration for their sports book business. Um, Try getting that market out there.
I like the soccer one where you can like specifically bet on somebody to assist somebody else's goal, not just pairing an assist and
Mm-hmm.
a goal like it has to be, because that's like a in some of these teams, it's just what's going to happen. What you could have done that with like every Drysdale goal, and with a
Bouchard assist and
assist.
Drysdale
So
goal. That would be great.
yeah,
But nobody cares about us humble hockey bettors over here. That's for sure. I did do one other point prop on Florida. I thought Verhage looked good. I wrote him down. I even looks like last night I starred him. which according to my notebook key means he's the expected goal leader for Florida. So flag that to you. And actually, right behind him is Anton Lundell,
Yeah.
who has 3 points in his last 2 games, and he's got 7 in his last 5. So I loaded up his point as well at plus money. That was about the end of my analysis. Just guy racking up points, he's plus money in a game. I think Florida scores at least 3. So let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, he's getting about 2 shots on goal a game. His line's at 1.5. That doesn't even look that bad.
No, I wrote that down too. Yeah, I thought his shots looked
He's been hitting
pretty
that.
nice.
I like seeing these names that we don't. Yeah, that wasn't an option in the regular season, betting on his shots. I like seeing these names pop up, and yeah, really solid. 8 of his last 10,
All
and
4 at home.
yeah, four attempts in 3 of his last 4 games. So yeah, he's getting about half of his shots on net. That's good.
Yeah. 4 for 4 with his shots at home. And if you wanted to, 6 of these 7 points he said in the last 5 games have been assists, which is plus 182 if you'd like to take a chance on some value. But seeing him shoot just a decent amount, I'm always going to play it safe with a point if the point's at plus money.
Yeah, I think that's a solid strategy, unless the guy's just not shooting at all. But like we just said, he's been getting a couple shots on goal each game, taking a little bit, yeah, shot more lately than his average. So it could be leading to a goal here. So plus money looks great.
You got somebody for shots on goal in Florida, right? Circled?
Yeah, I did parlayed Montour in this game with somebody from the next game, which we, I don't know, Marcia, so it's just been on fire. But yeah, I like Montour. I mean, it's hard to like look at his home chart and not want to play it with a 70% hit rate. Then you look over his last 30 home games and it's 83%. He's been good in this series, just getting nice volume recently, for a defenseman. He's getting 6, 6, 8, 7 attempts last 4 games. It's he had half of them on net last game, and his efficiency was a little bit was like better than that leading into that game. So I think he keeps that same volume, and he can at least get half of them on net there. Or as we've seen in previous games, he was hitting 4 on 6, 5 on 8, 6 on 7. So he's really just come alive lately, and just riding with him. Didn't want to play it straight. It was a little juiced, so I paired it with Marceau in the next game.
Yeah, man, he looks really good. The more I look at him, I didn't even realize I've been so focused on just like what's happening in this series and in the playoffs. Yeah, he ended the regular season at home on an absolute tear.
Yeah, just he was like,
Crazy.
what was it, Huberto? Just play him every home game.
Yeah, no, yeah, that looks great at 3. Yeah, either in a parlay or maybe a couple guys in this game,
He's
or
2+ in 30.
I imagine he's at a
29 of
flat.
his last 30 at home.
He's probably at a flat 3.0 on underdog too. I might put him in something there. Yeah, he looks good.
Yeah, I did that last game. Played him at 4. Yeah, I took the shot on the plus money at 4, and I think he had a shot blocked like near the end. So he had his chances there to hit it, and he does hit that 4 mark quite a bit at home. But I just went with the safe route with 3.
Yeah, so we dug out a couple good props from there. I would say surely at some point one of these games goes over, right? I am so surprised at how low scoring these have been. If ever it feels like it could be tonight, just based on unless Toronto's decided to just phone it in completely. If they are as desperate as we think they'll be, that's probably going to open up scoring on both ends a little bit. They might be a little looser defensively, just trying to make something happen in the offensive zone. If they're, down 3-2 or 3-1, 4-2, I bet they pull that goalie much earlier also in an effort to just lay it all on the line. So if ever a game's going to go over, it feels like it's tonight. But just know that all 3 games have gone under 6.5 so far.
Man, yeah, that is
It's
surprising.
crazy. All right, let's.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I do also like somebody brought him up in chat, Bennett. Um, I think he's looked pretty solid, and he's also been really good at home with his shots. That's not even just this season; that's last season. If you look at all the home games since last season, he has like a 71% hit rate at home. So he's been pretty solid as well. And he's got two 4-shot games here in his last 3. So some nice production from Bennett as well. He was getting a ton of points, and he's gone quiet for a couple games. So maybe he can bounce back for them.
Yeah, I thought he looked pretty good. Me and Sam Bennett don't get along this year, so I kind of, when I see him look good, I'm like, that's great, good for him. And then I just keep moving because whenever he draws me in, he goes under.
Yeah.
So I'll keep staying off him, but I thought it looked pretty solid. All right, let's go to Vegas Edmonton. Vegas is up 2-1 in the series. Edmonton scored immediately last game and then let up 5 goals, lost 5-1. I definitely expect a better effort out of the Oilers. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to find some goals. I mean, the X factor definitely is the power play. They only got 2 chances last game and they got shut down. I mean, one of those chances was like a half power play. So it was a 4-on-4 into I think like a 58-second power play. But if Vegas can stay out of the box, that definitely limits guys like Draisaitl scoring and Bouchard getting those power play points and assists that we've been loving. But I do expect Edmonton to come out ripping for sure, and I think they're going to win and score a couple goals. 3 to 5 range. They seem to just be trading off who's going to score 5 goals last couple games. I would love a more balanced effort, maybe just like a great 4-3 overtime kind of game. But nothing's really changed here for me. I think shots and points on both ends still look good.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Eichel fell a shot short last game.
Hmm.
He had 6 attempts, which he had 8 and 6 a couple games before that, and he came through. So just I think he had just like the other guy was talking about, just a block at the end that changed things up a bit. I think actually I think he had a nice shot at the end that was going right towards the goal, and Marchessault tipped it. So like, it happens. But I think
Yeah.
he was right there. Like it looked like he might have gotten hit the shot off, but yeah, Marchessault tipped it, so he had the chance to cash that last game. He's still plus money. Uh, I already brought up Marchessault has just been crushing. I want to play his 4 shots line, but it wasn't available before. Um, so I have it parlayed with Montour, his 3-shot line. But yeah, he just crushes the Oilers. Tons of 4
Man,
shots or more games in there.
I sure hope if you watch the show on Monday, you bet Marchessault to score a goal because I think we talked about that for 10 minutes. And he scored 2. And yeah, the guy just keeps shooting the puck. There's no reason to not go back to him. I went to his point because clearly I bet his goal to failure games 1 and 2 and decided to pivot to his point, and that's when he decides to score 2. So I guess it's just not meant to be for me to win a goal bet with him. But I went back to his point because the volume, this top line of Eichel, Marchessault, and Barbashev,
How
they've
didn't he get involved,
total.
man?
I know that sucks, but I think they've combined for 7 or 8 goals in the first 3 games here. They've been rolling. I did go back to Barbashev point also, but Marchessault point, and I think, as I mentioned before, I paired with Ryan O'Reilly shots. But I mean, Marchessault to get 4, assuming it's at plus money, looks good. I think his goal still looks good. Definitely need a piece of him this whole series.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go back to Barbashev too. It's just so unfortunate. He should, I think he was on the ice. He was there. He just didn't get involved on the scoring play. It sucks, but I think that well, he should, if he's around that going on again. There's a good chance for him to be involved still, plus money. So I like that. Wonder what wonder what a parlay of those guys to get a point would be. Because man, I really thought when I saw that there was that goal right away, I was like just hoping to see Eichel and Barbashev on there. Just seems like it could happen. I would like to see what the odds are for all of them to get a point.
I mean, I can't believe that Eichel is still down at half a point. Talk about a nice parlay piece. Guy had 3 points last game. He's got 5 this series. 2 of his 3 road games this postseason, he's got 3 points. And against the Oilers, he's got 9 points in his last 5. I can't believe he's at a half point. So,
Yeah, him
like,
and
I know
Mark pair 'em.
Caesars lets you same game parlay guys on different teams, like an Eichel Bouchard point parlay. Sounds beautiful to me.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, if you like Marchessault point and Eichel point, probably I think it would be smart to. I'm gonna look at them paired together, honestly. It's he's shooting. They're both shooting a good amount. Um, it's just feels like it's just bound to happen again. I like that one. I was surprised Stone didn't get a point either. Another guy who was just rolling and didn't get involved. So, um, I think he could easily bounce back. In the chat, Adam's bringing up Stevenson, which
Yeah, he looks good.
and they get involved together um, quite a bit. If you look back, I believe I was looking through the game log, and there was some correlation between him and Stone. So it's hard to pick when you look at all of them, but Barbashev looks like the best price, and then there's some opportunity for some same game parlays there. I think on these other guys.
Definitely. Yeah, I thought Stevenson point looked good.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. On the Vegas side, that kind of covers most of it. It's kind of correlated with Vegas, but I might go back to Jeff Skinner saves. It was very frustrating that he got pulled last game. He definitely was going to hit his line. It was 26 and a half. And um, I think I'd mentioned Vegas was looking good for like 34 and they landed on 33. So I can at least give myself a pat on the back. Just talking to myself. I would like to go back. I might do like an underdog, a super simple, just like Eichel Marches. So they're both at a flat 3 on there with Skinner's saves. Um, wouldn't be the most flashy thing in the world, but I have a really hard time finding anyone else on Vegas's end shot wise that I can trust. Um, Especially, I know we both like Petrangelo last game. Now I'm scared of him with his goose egg.
Do anything.
So I'm
Wait
sure he'll
for
get
it.
like 5 shots tonight. But I might go back to Skinner. It sounds like they're going back to Skinner. Last I heard. I don't know if he's been confirmed yet. Well, he's got a line. It's 27 and a half. Might have to go back to it.
Yeah, I think I brought up last time that Draisaitl tends to go under a bit more at home, and he was bouncing back and forth between over and under and over and under, and he ended on 3 again. So seems to be a pattern there. He still had fine volume, 7 attempts, which is right where he's been, and he's been hitting his line. So it's just some variance there. I think he's a fine look again, as as long as he's getting 6+ attempts in this series. Or I think he has what 5+. No, he does. He has 6+ attempts in every game this postseason. So if that's where his volume's at, I think he's a fine look. There's just some variance last game happens, but typically when he gets that volume, he's hitting his line. But I definitely love again putting him at that three. That three line is really really solid if you can do that, the alt shot.
Yeah, I don't know why FanDuel didn't like. I'd love Drysaitel, McDavid, Eichel at 3 seems really safe. I think that's hitting every game this series.
Yeah, and Marsh is in there too. Last game
Yeah, yeah.
I did 3 for him, 3 for Draisaitl, and 2 for Petrangelo, of course, and he, gets 0. But yeah, the those guys at 3 really solid. But just for anybody who's liking Draisaitl shots, I think it's definitely justified. He had the volume there last game, and I think that's the right call when you're making your play. It's not always gonna hit, but it's you're looking at the right guy there who had the volume, and should be coming out, with motivation this game. He was definitely frustrated in that last one, taking penalties there.
Yeah,
So
he looked a little. I know he turned it on a little bit, and he hit the post a couple times. He looked very disinterested at the beginning of that game. I feel like he what like all the other playoff games I've been able to catch at Edmonton. The guy's just ripping every chance he gets. He was very pass first and struggling to keep the puck in front of him when it came to him. I don't know. He looked so out of it, at least at the first half of that game. Just weird vibes coming from Draisaitl, but I think he deserves our trust. I kind of want to pair his goal with 3 shots to hopefully get that to plus money because I think it's minus 125.
yeah,
I think he deserves some faith out of us. If you've been betting him this long, don't
yeah. It's funny though
abandon him.
because, like you said, he did pass on some shots and he still ended with the same volume. So, you
I
know,
know it's
he can if he just had that extra, he took that one extra shot that maybe seemed like an okay look. We're just watching, so we don't really know what's going on. But that could have been all he needed. So I think it's a fine look again.
I think there's a couple things to keep an eye on here. Um, I've seen some people on Edmonton Twitter talking about the need to break up Draisaitl and McDavid on the same line, and I'll be interested off a 5-1 loss. I haven't seen lines yet. What they did, Zach Hyman did not practice yesterday. He also was not on the ice this morning. So if he doesn't go, that's going to open up some opportunity. One, currently he's on a line with Draisaitl and McDavid. So if somebody like Yamamoto gets the call up there, there's an interesting guy to maybe go to for a point. But what I'm most
Sorry.
interested is so it's when they do get on the power play, Hyman's kind of that pesky guy in front of the net. And if he doesn't play tonight, Evander Kane is going to take on that role. And I had circled Hyman yesterday because he's right behind Draisaitl in expected goals this series. Expected he should have had over 2 goals by now. He's got 0. And I have to imagine a lot of that has come on the power play. So
This is the Marcia show today. He went
I
2
would,
for 6 last game.
but yeah. So if Kane takes that spot, I would like to bet Evander Kane to score tonight. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Last game, he saw 6 attempts, only got 2 on net. Um, like you said, hasn't scored in four games. Feels like if he gets that extra opportunity, that could be the bump over that he needs.
Well, just to be clear, the expected goals I was referencing was about Zach Hyman.
Yeah, yeah, and just saying you were saying if Kane theoretically were to be
Yeah,
in that spot, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and his volume last couple of games does look good.
That's what I'm saying. The volume's there. The accuracy was a little off last game, but you see, against the Kings when he was getting, 3 shots on net and getting similar volume, 6, 7, 6 attempts. Uh, he had some goals. So yeah, that could be, maybe it's a little perfect storm for him.
And I know Aiden Hill did okay. I mean, he did well in net. He didn't let in a goal, and he's getting the start today. But he's definitely a drop down at net. So that does make me think the Oilers can find a couple of goals here and bounce back. So I'd like a couple of pieces of somebody. Kane is definitely on my short list.
Yeah, and I mean, not as juicy of a price, but Draisaitl uh
Oh,
came
yeah, of course.
close. That he hit the post that one time, and yeah, that's, with the volume he has coming that close, he's gonna get them in more often than not, and obviously he was showing that. So just, after that game, like you said, there was some weird vibes at the end of the game. He was clearly just frustrated. Um, maybe he can look at that and channel it into something good this game, and not, not just get, keep going down that path of frustration, and hopefully he can, turn that into a positive this game.
I mean, I was just Connor McDavid. I loved him to get 4 shots last game, and he did not. So I'm sure he'll fly over tonight, especially down a game in the series. I have no problem going back to that McDavid Eichel combination. I haven't done it yet. I don't know what I want to do with McDavid, but I'm sure people are wondering why that name hasn't come up yet. Just, yeah, always a fine option to score and get his shots off, especially at home.
Yeah,
He has not had a ton of success against Vegas. Not very consistent.
yeah, he does struggle to get those big shot totals. He's been landing at 3 lately, but, him, whenever they do offer his alt line for 3, it's almost not even, doesn't really do much for your price anyway. It's so juiced. It would be good to see him start getting it going again, because he's had some nice volume in the last few games, just, struggling to get it, on net, or just, yeah, it's a tough matchup for him, I guess. It's shown in his matches against him in the past.
A play I did get in on the Edmonton end because I don't think I've shared any on the Oilers yet. I mean, I went back to Bouchard's assists. Just another. I've been betting Evan Bouchard every single game this playoffs, so I'm not going to stop just because he finally didn't get a point. Um, he deserves. He's gained my trust. If he doesn't get involved again tonight, so be it. But I think the Oilers are going to score, and he's been one of my most trusty guys this whole postseason. So going right back to him. It was shocking to not see him get on the board. I got very used to just great. Evan Bouchard got his assist again. What a nice guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he could definitely bounce back. He's shown he could do that. If you look at, um, his chart in the last 30 games, he has bounced back, almost every time. I think all but one time, uh, after a game without a point. So yeah, it looks good. Um, this postseason, he has been racking it up more in the away games. If you look at his chart, there's a lot of 2-point games on the road, and then you see less points at home. But like I said, he still doesn't, go 2 in a row, um, without a point in a while. So it all stems, or it all connects to what I was saying about Draisaitl as well. Uh, if they can just turn last game into a positive here and just come out and use it as fuel, then yeah, Bouchard's, he should get involved on one of those guys, McDavid, Draisaitl. We've seen it just time and time again. So I think it's totally fine looking at these guys to bounce back. Uh, said, it seems to be a thing we say a lot. That's oftentimes the mistake that we make, is just running away from a bet that lost last game. So
Definitely. I am considering Bouchard's shots too. I don't know if you looked at his shot volume recently, but he's gotten at least so he's at 2.5 at plus 130. At least at two, I'm considering. He's got 7, 6, and 7 attempts these first three games, 2 shots in all of them. He's got 6+ attempts in seven of his 7 and 9 this postseason, and against Vegas, dating back a little further, solid volume as well. So if you look at his season with 6 attempts, let me just move this over on props.cash, dating back to last year. He's over 2.5 at a 75% rate. 69 games, he's gotten 6 attempts or more. And down at 2, he's hit 2 in 90% of the games. He's gotten 6 attempts. So at 2, I really like him. I know he's a flat 2 and underdog, and whenever FanDuel decides to open up alts, some guy I would like to look for. But I was considering the 2.5 at plus money, maybe for a half unit. But that was one that caught my eye when I was looking at this last night.
Yeah, that I always like doing that, just looking at what you did, just that filter and seeing, yeah, sure, he's getting a lot of twos on this volume lately, but the stats overall kind of say that if he's going to be getting this volume, there's a really good chance he could hit 3. So that is enticing to, after 3 games in a row where he landed on 2, assuming he has 6 attempts. Obviously that's not guaranteed, but if he got 6 attempts again, it's about time he freaking hits that line with a 75% hit rate, 3 straight unders. I think that there's some time for that to balance out. That's a, if you watch the show, I said I talk about that all the time. Like finding those angles where it's time for the stats to, correct themselves.
Definitely. That was pretty much all I noted for this one. One more play I do have is both teams to score in the first period at plus 146. The first period goals have been absolutely flowing. I keep pairing over 1.5 in the first and over 6.5 in the game. And the first period hits like a breeze, and the last 2 games they've ended right on 6 goals. So I'm slightly pivoting and just taking both teams to score in the first, which has happened in 6 of the 7 meetings between these two this year. I know, but prior to last game, there had been 9 first period goals between these two. I got to look at what happened last game. Yeah, 3 more. So that's 12 first period goals in 3 games. It's just ridiculous. I was pretty surprised at how good of a price it was. So not a market I usually bet, but I've been focused on the over under in the first period. So I'm just going to bet on both of them to chip in one at a hell of a price. And a
Yeah.
fun one too, because I don't know, in case I want to pass out, I'll have instant gratification on this read one way or the other.
I like that. Um, yeah, it's shown it's gonna hit, and I think last game there could have there could have been a couple more goals in there. There's a lot of real close ones. So um, I like that a lot. What'd you say the price was exactly?
Plus 146 on FanDuel, which
Yeah,
and it was only plus 125 on DraftKings. So once I looked on FanDuel, I was like, okay, yeah, that seems pretty good.
that market is a really good one to have multiple books on. Um, my brother he was doing a lot of those bets, and it was wild. The price difference can go anywhere from, like you said, plus 125 on one book, and then you know FanDuel or Bet365 might have like plus 180. I've seen that big of a price difference. So really good to have different books. And if you got Pickett, you gotta have something like Pickett where you can
Oh yeah.
easily bring up the lines and boom boom boom, see where the best price is, because you're missing out on a lot of money if you're settling on one book, especially in some markets like that. So that's a great
And
price there.
not gonna lie, if it doesn't hit, I'll probably chase it with second period, both teams to score with no
Exactly what he was
hesitation.
doing.
Yeah, I know. I've seen him
Oh
mess
yeah,
around with
yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, so win-win. I get an extra bet in the pocket if it loses. Um, too good to stay quiet for too long.
Yeah, I
All
love
right,
that. I love that one.
let's go summarize ourselves here with some best bets. Why don't we stick with this late game, then we'll move back to the former game. I do like that both teams to score. If Zach Hyman's out, I'm betting Evander Kane goal, so I'll put that here. And March is so everything. Um, there's the guy's just absolutely on fire. I actually can't believe he's still at 2.5
Yeah,
shots.
I
But
wish I'd play the
love his
four.
point.
Like I said, I would play it, at least something on it, a little bit on it if it was available. I have him parlayed with Montour in the first game. I'm I think I'm going to put half a unit on a point parlay of Eichel and Marchessault because I could do that on Bet 365. So if you can do that, you could join me on that one. But I liked what you said before too. You could pair one of them with like Bouchard if you can't uh, do two guys on the same team. That looks really, really solid as well. I just I'm expecting Bouchard and Draisaitl to have some sort of bounce back here. So yeah, I like the Bouchard angle. A lot of good
Uh,
point angles in this one.
oh yeah. And then in Toronto, Florida, I just went back to a couple Florida, well, back to one and Anthony Duclair to get another point. And I was like in Lundell's point also at plus money. Those are probably my two favorite reads in that game. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they both looked good. I mean, after those plays yesterday, um, you got to hone in on it. It seems silly to say it a few times, but at those prices, I mean, you don't need every play to hit when you're playing all these minus 140s or minus 150s and stuff. You A lot of correlation for both plays to hit on some of these guys, but you just need one to end up with a good profit there. So I'm liking still seeing plus money on Lundell. And yeah, and as I mentioned, I went Montour in a parlay here. His
Yeah.
volume's been really good. Guy's been lights out at home. Uh so I'm willing to stick with him.
And then pick a play of the day for us is going to stay in this game with Morgan Riley to get another assist. Um, guy's been rolling with the assists, got one in every game this series. And against Florida, he has 21 assists in his last 15 games, with at least one in all but one of those. So if Toronto wants to show a level of desperation that they can score goals, I mean, it's a little too late for that, maybe, but that's only going to help us a little bit more. But even if it doesn't, the guy just he loves getting assists against Florida.
Mhm.
He was minus 102 on Caesars was the best price I saw, which is crazy for how steady he's been. So love him again tonight.
Mhm. Guy gets it done. Even when the big names aren't getting it done, he'll he'll somehow set up Kerfoot with a pass that gets him a goal or something. So the guy produces in the playoffs 13 out of 16 games with a point, and just been racking up the assists lately. So yep, that's the look today.
Yep. All right. Good luck tonight. Enjoy these two games. They should be entertaining. Enjoy the two games tomorrow. Carolina looks to close it out. Dallas, Seattle, 2-2. Should be some fun games also. We'll be back here on Monday.
Yep. See you guys. Thanks for joining.